So apparently history decided to prank us again. Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, meeting in Alaska. Not Geneva, not Brussels, not even a Zoom call with bad Wi-Fi. No, they chose the one place on Earth that screams Cold War nostalgia, but make it Airbnb. Now, before we dive into this icy circus, a quick disclaimer. What you're about to hear is satire. I'm not here to hand you classified documents. I'm here to roast the performance. The facts about the meeting, or lack of facts, are pulled straight from credible reporting like the BBC. The jokes, though, those are entirely my fault. And let me be clear, this wasn't diplomacy. This was a crossover episode no one asked for. Imagine Netflix mashing up Game of Thrones with Keeping Up with the Kardashians. On ice. That's what Alaska got. Trump and Putin standing side by side, like two divorced dads trying to prove to the kids who gets the holiday custody of geopolitics. The location alone feels like parody. Alaska. It's the geopolitical equivalent of meeting your ex at the grocery store because it's neutral territory. Except instead of arguing over who keeps the cat, they're arguing over... Well, actually, they're not really arguing over anything. They're just posing in the snow, selling symbols instead of making deals. And here's the punchline. Nothing happened. No deals, no breakthroughs, no "we fixed the world, you're welcome." According to the BBC, what we got were attributes. Photo ops, grand handshakes, the kind of empty theater that makes you wonder if international diplomacy is just Comic-Con for politicians. Trump and Putin didn't walk out with agreements. They walked out with images. Smiles staged like stock photos. Flags positioned like props. A handshake that lasted exactly long enough to make Getty Images money for the next decade. It wasn't a summit, it was a photo shoot. Think about it. They talked about mutual respect, historic symbolism, and the spirit of cooperation. Translation. Nothing concrete, but hey, doesn't the snow make a nice backdrop? This wasn't a negotiation, it was a brand activation. Alaska wasn't chosen for strategy, it was chosen because it looks good on Instagram. And it worked. The headlines aren't about results. They're about the fact that it happened at all. The world's two most polarizing figures met on the edge of the Arctic, waved at the cameras, and went home. Like kids putting on their dad's suit and pretending they're CEOs. Let's talk about Trump at this summit. Because this guy didn't show up like a statesman. He showed up like a brand ambassador for himself. If Putin was playing chess, Trump was unboxing merch. He treated the Alaska summit like it was the season premiere of The Apprentice Geopolitics Edition. Big entrance, oversized handshake, dramatic pauses. All that was missing was the catchphrase, "You're fired." And while the world was waiting for hard negotiations, Trump was busy selling vibes. He praised the historic setting like a realtor showing off a fixer-upper. He hyped mutual respect the way he hypes his hotels. You know, all marble in the lobby, but don't drink the tap water upstairs. The man doesn't do diplomacy. He does branding. Every statement sounded like a campaign slogan. Every photo op looked like a teaser for his next rally. And honestly, that's the tragedy here. When you need strategy, he brings spectacle. When you need policy, he brings punchlines. And the kicker, he loves it. Because in Trump's mind, this summit wasn't about nuclear arms, trade, or global security. It was about who gets top billing on the poster. Alaska wasn't neutral ground. It was his stage. And the snow? Just free confetti. And then there's Putin, the man who treats geopolitics like it's theater, and he's the only actor allowed to keep the costume. At this Alaska summit, he didn't need to say much. He just sat there, wrapped in his usual aura of icy endurance, as if melting glaciers were jealous of his coldness. While Trump was busy playing salesman, Putin played Sphinx, silent, symbolic, heavy with meaning that wasn't actually there. Because that's Putin's game. Not arguments, not progress, but symbols. He doesn't need to win policy points. He wins by existing in the room. Just showing up is already the message. The handshake, the stare, the stillness. Those are his talking points. He's not writing a script, he's writing hieroglyphs. And the irony? That silence sells. Cameras love it. Headlines eat it up. Analysts dissect it like it's Shakespeare. Meanwhile, the actual outcomes? Thin as Siberian air. You could read the BBC article 3 times and still come away asking, wait, did anything happen or did I just watch performance art? Putin knows the West craves meaning. So he gives them symbolism, a poker face framed by Arctic snow. It's not governance, it's curation. Less leader, more museum piece. An exhibit titled Authoritarian Aesthetic, 1999 to Present. And yet, somehow, it works. Because in the spectacle of Alaska, Trump brought the noise, Putin brought the silence, and the silence ended up louder. Together, Trump and Putin on that Alaskan stage looked less like statesmen and more like a mismatched comedy duo. One loud, one silent. One obsessed with branding, the other obsessed with symbolism. It was Laurel and Hardy, if Laurel annexed Crimea and Hardy sold NFTs of the handshake. The press conference gave us headlines, sound bites, the usual theater. But here's the catch. Whatever they said on camera wasn't the meeting. The real meeting happened behind closed doors. No journalists, no transcripts, no witnesses. Just 2 men in a room and their confidants. Ice melting outside. And history on mute. And that's where the unease kicks in. Because what do you think they actually discussed? Trade routes? Climate change? TikTok bans? Please. When 2 men who both dream of empires sit down privately, they're not debating policy. They're dividing spoils. Splitting the globe like it's a chessboard, with 7 billion pawns too distracted to notice. And we'll never know. That's the genius and the horror of it. The summit wasn't about agreements or treaties, it was about power performing itself. About the image of 2 great men sitting at the edge of the world, deciding things we'll only understand years later, if ever. In the end, the Alaska summit was less a meeting of nations and more a dress rehearsal for history. Trump the salesman, Putin the statue, both playing their roles, both leaving us guessing what was real, what was theater, and what was already decided behind that locked door. What lingers after Alaska isn't the handshake, or the podiums, or the cameras flashing. It's the silence. The silence of a closed room where 2 men, one with nuclear stockpiles, the other with a Twitter army, whispered about a future none of us are invited to shape. And that's what's terrifying. Not what they said publicly, but what they didn't. Because power never announces itself in full. It hides in pauses, in nods, in things left unsaid. And while the world scrolls, memes, and argues about sound bites, history is being written in invisible ink. The summit wasn't a resolution. It was a reminder that the stage we see is just a mask, and behind it, the script is already written, by hands we'll never shake. So if you're waiting for a clear answer to what really happened in Alaska, don't hold your breath. The truth isn't coming out. Not today. Not tomorrow. Maybe never. And that's the scariest part. The unknown isn't just unknown. It's inevitable. This isn't just politics anymore. It's theater with consequences. And if you want to keep watching the show without blinking, you know where to find me. Hit subscribe. Stay tuned, because the next act in this global circus is already being rehearsed. And trust me, you won't want to miss it.